Here we are, live and on location in beautiful Prague, Czech Republic.
Gallifrey.
This time... Is that a place?
It's a fictional planet from Doctor Who.
So this time we are inland. We are getting some culture while we are talking about movies.
You can hear the beach in the background.
Well, that's what we're trying to think about. What is the most culturally significant movie of all time? I mean, that is more significant, really, than all the wonderful things that have come out of Prague, that have come out of, Paris, London.
Like, really shifted the needle. I mean, more than, automobiles changed the world.
More than the printing press, more than virtually anything else that has happened.
More than agriculture.
Yeah, that's... agriculture is bullshit compared to what has occurred as a result of this movie having been created. And that movie is, of course, The Rock.
There's no identity in the United States or Great Britain. He does not exist.
Now, all that stands between a city and a disaster. But don't worry, it'll all come back to me.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Not Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, okay. The actual movie, The Rock.
The movie, The Rock, directed by Michael Bay, written by three guys that we had never heard of before, but at least weren't Michael Bay. And
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie wrote this movie. And it is one of the... I mean, we grew up on this movie, and it has some incredible things about it. So we thought we'd do a very thorough analysis here. And one of the things that we thought would be a lot of fun is trying to see if we could... We haven't watched it again since, childhood. So we're going to try to remember at least 10 quotes from the movie and work them into the review.
If you spot those quotes, we'll give you $10 million.
We're not...
Imaginary $10 million.
Okay. Let me check with legal. Yeah, that checks out. So it's imaginary. $10 million. But yeah, try to spot the quotes as we go through. It's going to be subtle. You're not going to know when the quotes are coming out. So, because we're going to so seamlessly go through the review.
Yeah, there's going to be no hiccups. I drive a Volvo, a beige one.
Right. So notice how all of those things actually connected to one another and had nothing to do with it. There's no way that was just plugged in. So yeah, The Rock. So what do you think about this movie?
Absolutely amazing. A lot of really great action. It was paced well with good comedic breaks.
Excellent
at times.
pacing, yeah.
The characters were really exciting. It was just there was a lot at stake for every character too. There was Sean Connery's freedom. There was Nicolas Cage had his wife that was pregnant. That he's and his whole city, that's on the brink. Ed Harris had his legacy and trying to help all the people that he is as flawed as his execution was.
Yeah.
A couple guys wanted a bunch of money.
Right.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
The hairstylist wanted to know if he enjoyed his haircut.
True. So yeah, and there were a number of actually kind of background thematic things when it comes to the characters. Things that I didn't realize at first, but were things that I thought about over time. We've got green smoke. But now that I get to reflect on it, long term, you can see where many of the structures about the movie, and when it comes to thematics, are about men trying to avoid taking responsibility for growing up and becoming, men who have families and that kind of thing.
Who's never seen combat.
And you have that one scene where he's banging that one girl on the roof, and he's like, "Marriage police, pull over." But as part of that scene, he's resistant to this and resistant to the idea of having a baby. But the whole point of his arc, by the time you get to the end, this is Nicolas Cage's character, is that he's supposed to warm up to this idea of a family that he wants to have and wants to protect, from the things that can happen. And Ed Harris has a similar arc because he has to realize that once you get to the end of it, that it's about the protection of a kind of a wide... I don't know what I'm saying with that part. It doesn't really fit. But but Ed Harris was awesome, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was awesome. Yeah.
I'm only borrowing your fucking Humvee. So anyways, we could kind of start at the beginning. The scene where they actually take the VX poison gas, it's awesome, like well done. It's throughout the opening credits.
Wasn't it just exciting?
Engages you right out of the gate. Good music, and they were just in, they were out, and it was obvious that these guys were true professionals. That led into them like explaining like the situation. They're talking to Nicolas Cage. You're like, what do you know about VX? And he goes on this long rant about like, oh, voila, now you've got wine. And it's some other VX. And they're like, no, we're talking about the gas. And he's like, oh, that's just, you could see he immediately just is mortified. Like, oh God, this isn't a training exercise, is it? And it just immediately like, it really frames it well. It's like, there's a lot at stake here.
But you remember, part of that early scene with Nicolas Cage's character is that the threat when he's pulling that stuff out of the box.
The doll.
The doll.
Yeah, yep.
The doll comes out and it's toxic. It's blowing the
and it's like eating through his like mask and everything.
So that's supposed to be representative of his reluctance to have a family and his fear of babies just in general and having children. But also as part of that scene,
get me out of this fucking suit or I'm gonna stab myself in the heart with this thing.
Well, I didn't say you had to wear it. You can wear whatever you want for these. Where it's not even visual.
All right, I'm going to change into some pajamas.
All right, that works. So through all that early scene, it establishes so much so quickly because Ed Harris, you've got his, the dual sides to what he's trying to accomplish, and
him visiting the grave and apologizing to his wife for what he's about to do.
Right.
But he sees no other way to actually, get done what he really wants done.
And he's worried, anybody who hasn't seen the movie, he is concerned that the people who fought and died for the country didn't receive the proper, the families of them didn't receive the proper recompense for what they gave.
Yeah, so they gave their loved one, and they're not being taken care of by their government. They're not being, They're not being supported.
Yeah. So, and as part of that, I think we were talking about this right before we actually came to do the episode. Is how incredibly sympathetic Ed Harris is as a character. It's weird to be so behind the villain of the movie that you're like, okay, I kind of want him to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish here.
The one you train to defend you becomes your greatest threat.
Mm-hmm. And all throughout the movie, they double down on the fact that he is an absolutely worthy man trying to do something that he believes 100% needs to be done. But he's not willing to, indiscriminately kill people or anything like that. Mm-hmm. He's just trying to accomplish something that's really important at his last straw. Mm-hmm. So it's
our bluff. They called it.
Right. Yeah. And that's what's important about it is that nice bike, it's not mine. So
neither is this.
Oh right, that's right.
Dude, you just fucked up your Ferrari.
It's not mine. Neither is this. Oh, that's an amazing moment. Yeah, it's also got, what's her name, Claire Forlani or something like that?
Yeah, as Sean Connery's estranged daughter.
Right,
because he's spent decades in prison, it seems.
Yeah.
And it's because he stole some government secrets that he has hidden, and he won't tell them where. So they just locked him up, threw away the key. But he, at one point, has escaped Alcatraz. And he's the only person that's done it.
Yeah.
So they end up needing him for that expertise on how to get into Alcatraz so they can try and get these missiles back or stop Ed Harris's
crew.
And they need Nicolas Cage because of his expertise with the actual chemicals that are in the gas. So
everything
chemical weapons
fits together so well. It's just one of those things that is simply put together. It all makes sense. It's all easy to follow. It's all well paced. And like Sean Connery, you said he'd been in prison for like 10 years. He references Sir Walter Raleigh, Solzhenitsyn for their imprisonment for being, political enemies, as opposed to somebody who actually committed a crime or something like that. But you've got all this setup and all this lengthy background, it's already built in for this character. And it's just so well done. And you've got that Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery's character are so at odds, they really don't get along.
Well, it's like Sean Connery's trying to leave and like, what does he fucking have, a water pistol? He needs to go there and stop him,
Right.
So it's like, they really are just like bumping heads from the beginning, and they slowly realize it's like, well, they're just going to need to work together. Nicolas Cage is like, I'm not letting these missiles just blow up my city. And Sean Connery's like, well, this is my only chance at freedom, I guess.
Right.
Got nothing better to do.
Right.
I'm going to rot.
And so, yeah, they have that contentious relationship, but that's part of it, is that Sean Connery's character is telling him, you need to grow the hell up. That's one thing about Nicolas Cage's character, is that he just kind of dutifully is just, what's the word I'm looking for? Credulous about the government. He just accepts what they say and says, you're who I work for. I'm going to trust what you have to say and go on from there. But for Sean Connery's character, he knows what that's like. He knows the reality of how these governments work and all that kind of thing. So he's aligned with Ed Harris's character on that plane. So that's why he's the one who's trying to force Nicolas Cage's character to grow up, through the course of the movie. Like when he's talking about, proms and things like that. They have a discussion about the prom. I'm trying...
Because winners always try their best. Or losers always try their best.
Yeah.
Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Exactly.
Carla was the prom queen.
All of that. Excellent advice. But it's talking about, it's putting him in the context of, high school and all that kind of thing, and trying to get him to grow up and realize what the real world is like. And you don't see that kind of, other Michael Bay movies. You don't see that kind of subtlety or
nothing like
smart
that in Bumblebee.
writing. Yeah, in Bumblebee. Yeah, so there's just a lot of that kind of really smart writing and, in the performances and everything like that throughout the whole movie. And that's why it's so rewatchable and so much fun to watch and so interesting all the way through.
Well, and let's touch on for a second when they first get Sean Connery out. And he tells them that he wants to be put up in this nice hotel, get a nice shower, get a haircut, all the stuff that he's been without for, decades. He's just very disheveled and just barely alive. It's like they just throw food in a hole and that's all they do. And so he finally gets all of this. And he's just so skilled at what he does. He escapes the police custody. He runs, he steals a Humvee, goes on this long chase scene through the middle of downtown San Francisco,
which looked
destroying a trolley and a Ferrari, and evading all of the cops just to go see his daughter. And he very happily gives himself up once they go catch him. He's like, he wasn't really trying to escape. He just wanted to see his daughter, and he knew they were going to say no, so he just did it.
Yeah.
And that was just like him, like flexing that muscle. It's like he's like, no, I am that guy. I still got it. And so when they actually get there, it makes it a lot more believable that he's going through the boiler, like he's timing all the flames, and he still remembers all of that. And he rolls all the way through there, comes through, welcome to the Rock, like letting all the soldiers in before they eventually trip that motion sensor. And like that's where everything kind of goes haywire for the mission. They almost want to give up on the mission, it seems, because all of the soldiers get killed. They have the low ground. They're absolutely surrounded.
That was a great scene too. Yeah,
Ed
Michael
Harris
Biehn
does not want to have them killed. Like he won't kill them. Like he wouldn't have, but they knocked down that one brick that made the sound that sounded like gunfire, and it just was a bloodbath.
Yeah, before that, it was like, I will not repeat that order.
I will not give that order. And
stand down, Captain. Yeah, it's great.
It leads to it just being the two of them left, and it's it's really kind of they work their way through it, and it's I don't think they would have succeeded if they had the full battalion with them. If they were to sneak in, there would have been like no growth necessarily there. There would have been some sort of major confrontation that may have led to both of them being killed. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so many. There are a lot of contours of the storytelling that they make sense. They're fun to watch. They're there are just so many good things about it. And I'll take pleasure in gutting you, boy. So there's that, and then
I'll take pleasure in gutting you, boy.
And that's like you talked about the stakes. He was dealing with one of the most poisonous substances the world has ever known. So why don't you cut him some friggin' slack? So all the way through the thing, you have a clear idea what the stakes are, and they set it up and build it up and all that kind of thing. All the way through it. So it's such a good movie. It's so enjoyable. And we haven't seen it since we were children, but still it's still so good. So good.
We do also need to mention, so Ed Harris did not do this on his own. He had a team of mercenaries that were with him.
Right.
He had his right-hand man that was very much on the same page with him. Like they were both doing it for, honorable reasons. As flawed as they were really trying to actually help.
Yeah.
And then they ended up hiring some mercenaries, some true, real freaking villains Captains Fry and Captain Darrow.
Yeah.
And they look evil as hell. They look like they would like choke a baby.
Yeah,
both of them.
They look like that they did, yeah. For sure. Yeah. I don't remember that scene, but it was in deleted scenes, but still.
And it was so satisfying. I think when Captain Fry has a VX put in his mouth and he gets punched and that's how he goes.
The sound.
That's exactly what I wanted to happen to him from the beginning. I just didn't know it. And it was so satisfying when it happened. Candyman, he became an Elton John fan.
Right.
I don't listen to that soft ass shit.
Well, I just asked because it's you. You're the Rocket Man.
Clicks
the thing.
And he just gets launched by the missile right out the window and lands on the fence post. And yeah, it was awesome. So it boils down to at the end where they disarm all the missiles, but they had already, like, the people back home had already written off the mission. They were going to carpet bomb with napalm all of Alcatraz to get rid of these bombs and just kill everybody on there because that's better than losing all of San Francisco. So planes already left. They finally disarm the last bomb. They finally get rid of the last of them. But the planes are already gone, so they're supposed to light off green smoke. We got green smoke! Right at the very end. And Nicolas Cage, after stabbing himself in the heart to protect himself from that VX gas, giving himself that EpiPen, he goes out and he actually is able to set out the flares.
And notice how interesting that is that he has to stab himself in the heart. That's the thing that he has to, the organ that he has to inject, to nullify the threat of the VX or whatever. And that's his whole emotional arc, is that he's supposed to open himself up to the idea of family and all that kind of thing. It just happens to be in the case. And then the bombs hit the back of the island. Mm-hmm. So, there were so many things all the way throughout that are just indicative of many more ideas going on than, just the basic action plot, on the surface of it. Even though that was a good action plot, it was still fun in its own right. I would have liked to see more Claire Forlani or whatever. She is
more physically.
Yeah,
same.
She's got she's got weird pretty face, but that's sometimes better than like standard pretty face.
Yeah, she's the kind of person that would wreck your life for 2 weeks straight, and then you'd come out the other side like, you know what? I'm glad that happened, but I wish I had all my limbs.
Claire Forlani? Yes. I think more of that girl from that VHS movie. Have you seen that? From the first one of that?
No.
There's this girl that he meets at a party, and then she turns out to be dangerous. You haven't seen it? Oh, okay. But yeah, that girl will wreck your life. And you won't say it was worth it. Yeah, so, I don't know. She seems like a nice girl. Mm-hmm. But if her dad had been imprisoned for decades, then maybe she got a little screwed up.
She's probably got daddy issues.
She's got an OnlyFans for sure. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yep.
See if the character's OnlyFans is out there.
It's like Sean Connery's character from The Rock's daughter, OnlyFans.
Yeah, so we'll see if that exists.
We'll bing that.
Right.
So then it gets to the end of the movie. They blow up part of the island. Nicolas Cage ends up surviving. He gets kind of blown off the coast into the water from the explosion, but he ends up surviving. And it looks like Sean Connery got killed in the explosion. So after Nicolas Cage is up and like they're kind of winding down, he sees Sean Connery's character off in the distance. Or was it off in the... No, it was just before that. They actually talked, wasn't it? And that's when he gave him the coordinates.
The instructions?
Yeah, the instructions on how to get what Sean Connery was put in prison for so many years ago. And then Nicolas Cage just lets him go. And so the FBI director, whoever was in charge of the mission, asks him, like, well, what happened to, Sean Connery's character? And Nicolas Cage tells him he's vaporized. He's like, vaporized? he's like, yeah, it's like, it can happen. So it's like, there won't be a body. Just don't even bother looking. He's just gone forever.
Right.
And it's kind of cool. He had his back all the way to the end.
And then they go visit the church.
Yep, they go all the way to the church for their honeymoon because they did get married. And then they end up stealing one of the legs from one of the pews, which leads to, honey, you want to know who killed JFK? Like right at the end. And apparently it was a microfilm with a whole bunch of government secrets on it that he had hidden into a church pew leg somewhere in the middle of the country.
Right.
Yeah, it was a nice little finish off at the end.
Yeah, good wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
Good way to wrap up that story. So, overall, I mean, I'm going to give this movie 14 sandstones out of 10 sandstones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just
I like
a good movie.
that. I'm going to give it 0.915 as a ratio.
Okay, ratio to what?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so that was that's The Rock. I think we pretty comprehensively covered that one. I'm not sure if we worked any quotes in though. I think we forgot to do that.
God dang it!
Yeah, so that's rough.
Maybe
so sorry
we'll
about
work them
that.
into the next episode or something. Who knows?
We might have to do another The Rock episode. After we watch it again, we'll do another The Rock episode.
See how much we got right.
Yeah. And now we have like another half of the episode we have to do. So
You want to do The Rock again?
I think, well, we can't do VHS because you haven't seen that yet. We can definitely do, however.
Fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, we obviously we watched these in anticipation of this episode, so now we're going to do, what's the next one on the Squid and the Whale by Noah Baumbach. So obviously we're doing, the most contemporary and recent and popular movies. That's the only kind of thing that we do here.
Yep.
So The Squid and the Whale.
Father said you had a weak handshake, which is a sign of indecision.
His hands are so huge, I can't get a good grip.
This is his follow-up to Kicking and Screaming, but not the Kicking and Screaming you're thinking of. It actually is a weird movie about these college people that just get out of school. It's not the soccer movie with Will Ferrell.
I forgot that existed. Yeah, Kicking and Screaming was actually, it was about the malaise that people feel as they're coming out of college and don't really know what to do.
Yep.
So it was kind of an updated version of The Graduate, which we did on another episode. So if you want to know everything about The Graduate, I'm sure we nailed it.
Extremely accurately.
When we talked about it. But The Squid and the Whale, it stars Jeff Daniels, Laura Linney. It's got
Lex Luthor,
and then the little kid is Haley Joel Osment. So, yeah, it's just about kind of a family in turmoil when they have the parents are both superheroes and they're kind of growing apart from each other because of their superheroing, because she is a better superhero than he is.
Yeah, and he feels inadequate about it.
Right. He is Hawkeye, she's Black Widow. So she's just
but she's
more
like an actual spider. It's not like the Black Widow from Avengers.
she's way better at it, because she can wrap up her enemies in the silk or whatever that comes out of her ass. So
and she can climb walls and lift things way heavier.
Climb walls, lift heavy things. And he can just shoot arrows. Mm-hmm. So that's the tension in the family.
And the biggest problem is that he's out of arrows for the whole movie. So he just feels really useless. He's got the bow and he keeps just dry firing it all the time, but it's not doing anything. So it just feels so inadequate.
Yeah, that's the thing, because he doesn't know how to whittle. Yeah, so he just, once he's out of arrows, he's out of arrows.
There's a shortage because of the supply chain.
Yeah, supply chain issues because there's.
So let's get to the kids. They obviously look up to their parents, not for their intelligence, but for their haircuts.
Yeah. So especially Black Widows. But so Lex Luthor, he really looked up to his dad. That was somebody who he held in high regard for the time that he had arrows. Yeah. But after he ran out of arrows, then it's like,
then he liked Roger Waters.
Who the fuck is Roger Waters?
From Pink Floyd.
Oh, okay.
That's how he plagiarized it.
Hey, you. Yeah, all right.
Divided we fall.
Well, did you write that song?
Yes.
So Lex Luthor, that was his first dabbling in criminal activity. It was the plagiarism. And then when he was sent off to a maximum security prison.
In the DC universe. He had to leave Marvel with Hawkeye when he went to prison so he could show up in the DC universe.
He was exiled from Marvel for having stolen a Pink Floyd song. Mm-hmm. And then when we have Haley Joel Osment, he sees dead people, obviously. And so that is a response to the tension that's within the family. Mm-hmm. He misses his brother. The person he looked up to the most was his mom, but then his mom killed a bunch of people, because she's a giant Black Widow spider.
Yep.
And she just likes to drink blood. So this was something that really kind of pushed him the wrong way. So he started smearing his semen on books.
Yeah.
And
he got off on books. Kind of like somebody else.
Got off on a reading. Do that at home. It's a different situation. So there's a lot going on internally when it comes to all these characters.
Do you think that it was because somebody else stabbed him that Kevin Spacey was so upset when Haley Joel Osment got stabbed that he didn't get to do it himself?
Where did all that come from?
Pay it forward. and Kevin Spacey.
So yeah, that was a stretch, but
I just remember Haley Joel Osment and not getting stabbed.
Yeah. So, but Kevin Spacey,
Yep.
especially when it comes to young boys. So, is this going to be libelous? Is this something? Because I don't know if he's been convicted of any of that. I think all the people who are witnesses,
convinced. Allegedly. That's all we got to say. Is just allegedly.
Oh yeah, all of it allegedly.
Yeah.
All of it allegedly.
And then allegedly, Laura Linney Spider bit his dick off.
Yes, allegedly.
No way to prove it.
Well, yeah. That might be part of it, that Haley Joel Osment having been stabbed, that could have hurt him too, emotionally. But I really think that he was kind of struggling with the fact that he doesn't understand how Hawkeye impregnated a giant Black Widow spider, you know, and the fact that they had 400 brothers and sisters.
Most of them were just spiders.
Yeah. And all of them were spiders. But...
Well, and see, that's where I dug in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, okay.
And I watched some of the deleted scenes.
Oh,
and there actually is a scene where Jeff Daniels, as Hawkeye, ejaculates onto her cloaca.
Oh, right.
And that's how they make babies.
Wait, so they had 400 spider babies and 2 human-looking babies?
Yeah.
That doesn't make...
Well, some of the spider babies were like half human, but their heads were so giant they couldn't move because they were just a regular spider-sized body. So they died fairly early, and then Black Widow ate them.
So yeah, that's going to have an impact on a family. You know,
Yeah.
An American family is going to suffer when the mother eats her malformed babies, a good handful of them straight out of the womb. So, but yeah, it was a really good kind of exploration of how squids and whales kind of get along in the ocean, and that's what the title means, is that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we nailed it.
So Squid and the Whale, I'm going to give it 4 Lunchables out of 6 Lunchables.
Nice.
With the little spoon things.
Oh, those are good.
For the cheese.
Nice.
I think. All right, that's what I give it. What do you give it?
5 golden rings.
Yeah, so that's okay. What's next?
Yeah, I like that.
This is another one we just watched, I don't know, a couple of minutes ago, actually. We watched this one. This was Amadeus.
His first symphony at 7. A full-scale opera at 12.
Amadeus with F. Murray Abraham. And it's about, of course...
Dude, I think Murray Abraham's just fine. We don't need to trash him on here.
Yeah, it's just got Murray Abraham. I just feel anger towards him, just in general.
Yeah, well, the F stands for fuck.
Yeah, well, I just feel like it's a little... he just didn't do enough in this movie, is what I think. He should have been more supportive of Mozart.
Yeah.
And Mozart's, journey to becoming the best fiddler on roofs.
Yep.
So that's... Wait, is it roofs or roofs? I think it's just roofs.
Hooves.
So yeah, he wanted to be the best fiddler on hooves. So while riding a horse or donkey or anything else...
or Mr. Tumnus.
Or Mr. Tumnus. That was the number one challenge that he had to overcome.
That was when he wrote Stairway.
It's just, his very well-known piece of music, Stairway. But so you have the whole progression from the beginning to the end. You have the whole progression of, you see him in the beginning, where he's just kind of this frivolous, annoying, loud, obnoxious guy, he's just writing the easier things, like donkeys, while he's playing his music. And you have the jealousy of fuck Murray Abraham, who just doesn't believe that this kid is this good this early,
It doesn't seem possible to him.
It doesn't seem possible. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when he's going through this and he's trying to figure out, he tries to start sabotaging him, like he pulled a Nancy Kerrigan to the donkey's leg, but that just meant that Mozart had to go ride a horse after that, so it's actually helping him along. and he didn't mean to do that, you know. So there are a lot of complexities in that relationship.
Yeah, I feel like Abraham's character, I mean, he was trying his best, but Amadeus went home and fucked the prom queen. So it was very, very, had very similar symbolism.
Yeah, it's like identical symbolism between Amadeus and The Rock. They're pretty much the same movie.
Yeah, nearly.
Yeah.
The VX poison gas also in Amadeus kind of came as a surprise. Mostly because they only have like candles and shit. They didn't figure out anything.
Yeah, they have pretty limited rocket technology in Mozart's day. But it had a wonderful music, obviously. Mm-hmm. You know, it had Stairway. That's one of the big ones.
Yep, just Stairway.
But it also had Don Giovanni. You know, it had some of his, violin concertos, you know, really interesting. Once he gets on Mr. Tumnus and you hear the first, you know, just measures out of Stairway, though, it's like, it's so moving. You know, there's nothing else that really tops that in film history when you finally hear that. Just Stairway while he's on Mr. Tumnus.
And the lyrics were fantastic. I mean, like...
Why don't you give me some of the lyrics?
That's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
Brilliant. Touching. Timeless.
Yeah. And obviously,
get money. What he's got.
It was obviously dedicated to Notorious Big F Murray Abraham.
Well, so you understand because they had this beef from the beginning. You know, Fuck Murray Abraham and Mozart, they were in rival street gangs.
Yeah.
You know, so you see where this came from. And obviously this was actually set, I think it was set in Prague. So it's weird.
That's Mexico City.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's obviously why we went to Prague, Czech Republic, was because we were talking about this movie. But Fuck Murray Abraham, and that's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
Classic lyrics. Classic.
Yeah.
I heard that playing at the grocery store the other day. It was wonderful.
Did you?
No.
Oh. Yeah, so classic lyrics in Just Stairway, and it goes on from there. Of course, there's a lot to it.
So I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
But really, the whole song is about how superior he is as a musician, and how he fucked his bitch.
Yep.
So all that,
which back then they didn't have the same terminology, so his bitch was actually his dog. So that made for a really uncomfortable after credit scene.
Dog is a man's best friend. So when he fucked that bitch, it really did affect Fuck Murray Abraham's relationship with the dog.
Well, and I thought it kind of like compromised his message that he wasn't the dominant one in that situation at the end.
Yeah.
He was more the fucky than the fucker.
Okay. Wait, who's the fucker and the fucky?
The dog.
The dog.
The bitch.
Oh, well, that was the twist, is that the bitch actually wrote all the songs.
Yep.
So it was really like kind of a feminist anthem going through the whole movie, and you don't learn until after the end credits that it was really the bitch who wrote all the songs, and Mozart was the one to put them out there, you know, because you couldn't have a dog saying that they were the one to do all this stuff. You know, it's kind of calling back to Ratatouille and Big Eyes by that one Tim Burton guy. All that is a callback saying, you know, in those times, the woman wouldn't have been taken seriously as a great artist. So that's why the bitch gave it to Mozart. Yeah. It's a really smart, well put together movie.
Yep.
You know, very smart thing.
Based on a true story from World War II.
Very true. World War II?
Yep.
Very true story from World War II. Yeah. So I give this one kind of like 67 harps out of a total of 92 flutes. And you know the conversion, obviously, they're pretty close. So it's a good score.
Yeah, that makes sense. I give it 3 new shoes.
3 of them.
Yep.
All right. That's
just in case I wear one out a little bit faster.
But then they would have to make sure to wear out like the left versus the right, because you would only have.
I'm not giving them 4 shoes.
Well, I just feel like that's not very practical. Never mind.
So, they got to shoot for each foot, so I don't want to hear it from them.
Okay. Well, so we got through 3 movies that time. I feel like we were faster in other ones.
Yeah.
But that one where we talked about some great movies, you know, in that one. So obviously The Rock, one of the most important movies of all time. And we talked about The Squid and the Whale, which was a big Marvel tentpole. And then we talked about Amadeus, which had some dog fucking, which I feel like we had another... Didn't we have another movie with some dog fucking?
I wish.
Do we have a fetish? I didn't realize. But, yeah, so that was that one. Do you want to say bye to the people?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So that'll be that, and we'll see you on the next one.